On Christmas night in 2025, a shocking transformation unfolded across Russia. While Ukrainians celebrated in Kiev with joyous carols and laughter, their neighbors in Moscow faced a nightmare of destruction and chaos. The city's peace shattered as fiery hues painted the sky, the horizon ablaze with flames. It was as if the entire country's energy core had been hijacked by a coordinated assault unlike any before. In an instant, Russia's grand illusion of invincibility crumbled. Refineries stretching from the southern regions up into Siberia erupted, turning darkness into blinding daylight. Explosions echoed through the heart of the capital, tearing apart vehicles, shattering industrial giants, and exposing Putin's myth of dominance. Oil, once a symbol of national strength, now burned fiercely in the night sky, transforming the landscape into hellfire. Morning arrived with the grim reality: Russia woke not to warm Christmas cheer, but to a landscape engulfed in flames and smoke. Even Moscow was no longer safe. The sense of security that once cloaked the city evaporated in the rising heat. Ordinary citizens, along with the oligarchs who once thrived on wealth and oil, now saw their world turned upside down. This was no coincidence. These attacks, carefully planned and executed, revealed a terrifying truth. Putin's empire was no longer unbreakable. The question is, how did they do it? These strikes were not mere accidents or chance hits. What occurred was a masterful, synchronized operation, an intricate web of military precision that cut through Russia's defenses like a surgical knife. Ukrainian intelligence and armed forces, utilizing detailed knowledge of Russia's weaknesses, launched a multi-layered assault targeting 5 critical points simultaneously. This was a strike designed to overwhelm, to cripple. One of the most devastating blows landed at the Novoshakhtinsk oil refinery in Rostov. This was more than just a refinery, it was the lifeblood of Russia's military machinery, fuel for tanks, armored vehicles, and logistics across the southern military district. This massive plant processed around 110,000 barrels daily, enough to supply millions of tons of fuel each year, a vital artery for the country's war effort. At midnight, an ominous threat loomed over this strategic target. Ukrainian forces deployed Western-made Storm Shadow missiles, powerful, bunker-busting projectiles capable of penetrating reinforced defenses. Eyewitnesses report that these missiles struck the refinery's critical components directly, targeting the main distillation towers and storage tanks before Russia's air defenses could react. Satellite data confirms the severity of the attack. Massive heat signatures and destruction reveal that the heart of the refinery was obliterated, its vital units turned into an unrecognizable pile of molten metal and shattered concrete. The Storm Shadow's 450-kilogram warhead tore through protective layers, exploding inside to dismantle Russia's energy backbone. This event shatters any remaining trust among Russian oligarchs operating in Rostov. How can they continue doing business in a country where the very infrastructure that sustains their wealth is now in ruins? Ordinary Russians, too, begin to question their leader. With their lives and livelihoods suddenly under threat, frustration boils over. The illusion of safety erodes, and the social fabric begins to fray. But Rostov is just the beginning. The true scale of Ukraine's boldness becomes clear when we look eastward, thousands of kilometers from the front lines in Orenburg, a hidden gem of Russia's interior. Once considered a safe zone, this region now bears the scars of a different kind of strike. Long-range reconnaissance drones, with their low radar signatures, silently infiltrate the area, bypassing defenses unnoticed. Targeting the vital gas processing complex of Orenburg, these drones launched their deadly assault. Flames erupted near the plant's most sensitive units, gas separation facilities, and smoke billowed into the sky. The sound of the explosion was deafening. Witnesses described the roar of the blast, the brutal crack of collapsing metal, and the smell of burning chemicals. These strikes proved something terrifying: Ukraine can now hit anywhere within Russia's borders, regardless of strategic distance. This gas plant processed an enormous 37.5 billion cubic meters of natural gas annually, fuel not only for Russia's economy but also for its chemical and plastics industries. Its destruction sends shockwaves through energy markets worldwide and deals a crushing blow to Russia's economy. The ongoing damage may be irreversible, with repair times stretching into years if repairs are even possible under Western sanctions that block access to critical parts. The human toll in areas like Orenburg is staggering. Thousands of workers face layoffs, entire communities are paralyzed as industries grind to a halt. The lifetime of these cities hangs in the balance. When good-paying jobs vanish and the streets grow cold, unrest and anger simmer beneath the surface. The Russian people see their government unable to protect vital industries, fuel, energy, and commerce, shaking their faith to the core. Meanwhile, more chaos erupts at the Black Sea port of Temryuk in the Krasnodar region. Vital for Russia's maritime logistics, this port is a nexus for supply routes heading toward Crimea. Ukrainian forces launched a massive attack here, igniting a 2,000 square meter area in flames. Witnesses describe the intense heat, the roaring explosions, and the sudden darkness cast over the port as fire consumes everything. This destruction renders port facilities completely unusable, cranes, rail links, cargo ramps sabotaged. The ripple effect is immediate, resupply options along the Black Sea vanish, cutting off Crimea from critical supplies just as winter approaches. Military bases and civilian populations now face a looming logistical nightmare. The backbone of Russia's hold on Crimea begins to weaken, perhaps irreparably. The financial impact is profound. Billions of dollars worth of oil and gas contracts hang in the balance, and oligarchs who once thrived on these assets watch their fortunes evaporate. The flames at Temryuk threaten to wipe out years of profits, pushing the elite to consider drastic measures, perhaps even abandoning the sinking ship of Putin's rule. Even more alarming, reports emerge from Saratov, where sirens wail across the city. Explosions at the local refinery send dark plumes into the sky, another direct attack on Russia's fuel supply chain. Witnesses describe the smell of burning oil and the rumble of distant explosions. On Christmas morning, lines stretch for kilometers at gas stations, citizens desperate to fill their tanks, fearing tomorrow's shortages. This chaos signifies a turning point. The attacks are not isolated events, they are a coordinated effort to cripple Russia's entire infrastructure, erode its economy, and shake the foundations of Putin's power. The truth stares everyone in the face: Russia's safety is no longer guaranteed. The illusions of strength are crumbling, replaced by uncertainty and fear. How long can Putin cling to control when even his empire's lifelines are under siege? In the darkest hours of a winter night, a devastating blow hit Russia's heartland. The core of their energy infrastructure, the Novoshakhtinsk oil processing plant in Rostov, was struck with precision weaponry that shattered their defenses. This was no ordinary attack, it was a calculated, surgical strike targeting the very lifeline of Russia's military and economy. This massive facility is no small refinery. It's an energy artery pumping 5 million tons annually into the military's tanks, armored vehicles, and supply trucks across the southern districts. As midnight approached, the Ukrainian forces deployed advanced Storm Shadow missiles, highly precise, bunker-busting weapons designed to obliterate fortified targets. Eyewitnesses report watching fiery explosions rip through the main distillation towers and storage tanks, targets hit directly, without a chance for defenses to respond. Satellite imagery from NASA reveals a surge of intense heat, proof that critical structures at the facility were completely destroyed. The warheads, weighing 450 kilograms, first penetrated reinforced concrete barriers, then detonated inside. The result? An irreversible pile of twisted metal, smoke billowing into the cold night sky, obliterating what was once a symbol of Russia's energy might. Imagine the trust shattered for any Russian oligarch who relied on Rostov's supplies. How can they continue doing business after such a blow? How can ordinary citizens, who depend on petroleum exports, look at their government with confidence? The foundation of trust is crumbling under the weight of this well-orchestrated attack. But the damage extends far beyond Rostov. As we shift our gaze eastward, the story grows even more alarming. The war's reach is no longer limited to frontline battles. It has seeped into the very core of Russia's interior. In the quiet city of Orenburg, long thought safe from conflict, a new nightmare has begun. A silent predator, long-range drones, have turned this peaceful industrial hub into a battlefield. Long-range drones, with low radar signatures, navigated unnoticed. They struck with surgical precision at the sensitive gas separation units, crucial for Russia's energy exports. Flames erupted, visible miles away, as critical facilities were ravaged. This attack proved a brutal truth: Ukraine can now strike anywhere within Russia, regardless of borders or defenses. The once impregnable interior, fought protected behind vast strategic depth, has become vulnerable. The destruction of Orenburg's gas processing plant isn't just a setback, it's a wound in Russia's economy. Processing 37.5 billion cubic meters of natural gas annually, this facility fuels industries, plastics, fertilizers, chemicals. Now, a billion-dollar hole in Russia's petrochemical industry has opened wide. Repairs could take months, possibly years. Western sanctions block access to vital replacement parts, leaving this damage permanent. Imagine the citizens who work here. Do they remain indifferent as their livelihoods vanish in smoke and flame? The shutdown of this vital plant isn't just a technical failure, it's a social explosion waiting to ignite. Entire cities reliant on these factories face economic collapse. Without jobs, without income, misery spreads like wildfire. The working class, once loyal to their leadership, now sees empty shelves and freezing homes. The fairy tales of victory ring hollow amid the smell of burning fuel and the taste of despair. But the chaos doesn't stop at Rostov and Orenburg. A further nightmare unfolded at the port of Temriuk in the Krasnodar region, the Black Sea's gateway for Russia's maritime logistics. Ukrainian forces targeted fuel storage facilities there, igniting a 2,000 square meter blaze. The roaring fire consumed everything: cranes, rail links, and cargo ships, stripping the port of its operational capacity. The explosions sent shockwaves. Flammable tanks ruptured, igniting secondary fires and causing a chain reaction that rendered the port useless. Resupply routes through the Black Sea are now blocked. Crimea, heavily dependent on these supply lines, faces an impending crisis. As the port's equipment smolders, the strategic grip on Crimea loosens. The once reliable supply chain is unraveling before their eyes. Scroll further and another scene of destruction emerges: Saratov. Sirens wail as explosions ripple through the city. The local refinery, vital for fueling Russia's interior, is left in ruins. Thick black smoke billows skyward, and the smell of burning oil fills the air. These strikes are not mere accidents, they are coordinated acts of sabotage designed to cripple Russia's industrial backbone. Citizens rush to gas stations, queues stretching for miles. They clutch their fuel cans, feeling the panic tighten around their throats. Without fuel, how will food reach markets? How will families stay warm as winter's grip tightens? The entire nation teeters on the brink of chaos. The illusions of strength and invincibility fade, replaced by the stark realization that their country's energy future is under siege. The echoes of these attacks echo through the corridors of power. State propaganda can no longer mask the vulnerabilities exposed. As each critical facility falls, the confidence of those loyal to the regime erodes. The question remains: how long can Vladimir Putin hold together a nation hemorrhaging from within? The fires of rebellion and discontent are burning brighter, fueled by the relentless assaults on their infrastructure. The scene is set for a revolution, not just on the battlefield but within the hearts of the Russian people. The once indomitable empire now faces internal paralysis. Will they rise above this chaos, or will the fires engulf the entire homeland? The countdown has begun, and the world watches as Russia's fragile fortress begins to crack. Russians' faith in their safety shattered, they see their lives and fortunes unguarded by Putin's grip. Oligarchs and citizens alike whisper of holding him to account. Yet their fury extends far beyond Rostov's ruins. Picture this nightmare: a distant eastern haven, shielded from battle's grip, erupting in chaos. Did you know Ukraine's shadow warriors just obliterated a behemoth deep in Russia's heart, miles from any foe's reach? Shift your gaze southward, to the frost-bitten plains of Rostov. Flames devour that energy titan, billowing black smoke choking the air. Sirens wail like tortured screams. The stench of burnt fuel clings to every breath. Now leap east, 1,000 miles away, to the remote stronghold of Orenburg. This haven, far from Ukraine's guns, was supposed to be eternal peace. But Ukrainian drones transformed it into a scorching inferno. Security services unleashed stealthy killers, new drones with tiny radar shadows. Long-range, self-guiding assassins. They whispered through the night, undetected. Russian radars blinked blindly as these silent predators swooped low. Their strike?
precise venomous bite. Gas separation units, the plant's pulsing core, obliterated. Towers erupted in roars of fire.
Flames surged skyward, a crimson river visible for miles.
Smell the acrid bite of melting metal, feel the ground tremble under relentless blasts.
This assault screams a brutal truth: Ukraine reigns supreme. No corner of Russia escapes their wrath.
Borders? Depth? Mere illusions now. Orenburg's gas processing plant looms as Russia's chemical colossus.
Processing 37.5 billion cubic meters yearly, a lifeline pumping natural gas and raw materials for plastics, fertilizers, chemicals.
Halt that flow, and watch a billion-dollar crater yawn in the petrochemical empire. Oligarchs' brains boil in rage. Can they rage at Putin for dragging this endless war onward?
The poison edge slices deeper, export revenues hemorrhage.
Global markets quake, but Russia bleeds hardest.
Energy rubles, the war's filthy fuel, vaporize in fiery smoke. With every crater, every shattered pipe, their fragile economy crumples.
Repair?
Dreams of swift fixes vanish. Months, years, locked out by Western sanctions.
No parts flow in.
This pause spirals into eternal ruin, permanent scars on their industrial soul.
Citizens there can't ignore it. Shutdowns mean thousands furloughed, jobs erased.
These plants mean everything to their towns.
Homes freeze without paychecks, futures darken to voids. Refrigerators echo empty, threat looming for the Kremlin.
Workers hush Putin's victory lies, their lives crumble in his shadow. A volatile twist brews, the elite's whispers grow. As fortunes burn, loyalty frays.
Could oligarchs plot escape, abandoning the sinking ship? Workers stir, stoves unlit, kitchens cold and hollow. Panic grips, winter's bite sharpens the blade. Can Russia endure this choking fog?
One question haunts: if even the farthest lights flicker out, how long before flames consume Putin's throne? The air thickens with betrayal's scent, tension coils like a spring about to snap.
What horrors lurk next, as the people awaken?
The recent series of devastating attacks in Russia reveal a terrifying new chapter in modern warfare.
What if the heart of Russia's energy empire is crumbling? Imagine the shockwaves rippling through the entire nation, unseen yet deadly.
The destruction of vital oil refineries and gas processing plants is not accidental, it is a coordinated strike targeting the very core of Russia's power. Russia's petrochemical industry, the backbone of its economy, has been rocked to its core.
This is no small disruption, it's a blow that could shatter Putin's financial foundation.
The destruction of strategic facilities may have sent energy revenues soaring into smoke and flames.
Repairing these massive complexes?
A task that could take months, possibly years, especially under Western sanctions that restrict access to essential parts.
This isn't just a setback, it's a potential, permanent collapse of critical industry. Yet, the repercussions are more than economic. Ordinary citizens feel this pain deeply. Thousands of workers in the Orenburg gas plant face indefinite unemployment, their livelihoods torn away overnight. Factories once humming with activity now lie silent as the cold winter approaches.
Without these industries, entire cities risk falling into decay.
People, desperate and anxious, see their futures slipping away. Their refrigerators, once filled, are now empty.
The growing unrest threatens to ignite a social upheaval far beyond what Putin anticipated. In Krasnodar, another message was loud and clear. The Temryuk port, vital for Black Sea logistics, was violently attacked. Flames engulfed a sprawling 2,000 square meter area, an inferno that threatened to cripple Russia's maritime supply routes. Thermal cameras detected intense heat where cargo ships and ferries once brought hope. The fire's destruction wasn't just a blaze, it was a deliberate assault on Russia's gateway to the Black Sea. The result? Port operations, crucial for moving military supplies and commerce, are now paralyzed. Explosions ignited tanks storing volatile fuels, scattering debris across once bustling docks and rail lines. The chain reaction has left cranes useless, loading areas in ruin. Now, with Temryuk devastated, the entire Black Sea supply chain teeters on collapse.
The strategic Kerch Bridge, already under immense strain, now faces closure of sea-based resupply routes. Russia's grip on Crimea, its prized asset, begins to loosen.
The logistics arteries that once kept the energy and military wheels turning are bleeding out. All these attacks serve as stark warnings. The resilience of Russia's crumbling infrastructure is being deliberately dismantled.
The nation's economic backbone, its military lifelines, and even the ordinary lives of its citizens are under siege. As the winter looms and supply lines fracture, how much longer can Putin hold on to a country on the brink of chaos? Are these devastating strikes just beginning, or is this a new era of unstoppable insurgent power?
The answer lies in what comes next, because the ground is shifting beneath Russia's feet, faster than anyone ever expected. In the aftermath of Temryuk's fiery devastation, where scorching flames crippled vital cranes, ramps, and rail links, the chaos rippled across Black Sea routes and Crimean supplies. Already strained by the Kerch Bridge's constant burden, its fall now extinguished seaborne reinforcements entirely. Did you know that Putin's iron grip on Crimea might be unraveling faster than a sandcastle in a storm surge? As winter's icy bite looms, imagine oligarch yachts sinking beneath waves of betrayal. What desperate whispers echo in gilded halls, where fortunes once flowed like oil? Ferries bound for Crimea now drift aimlessly. Their fuel tanks empty. Starved of refueling havens? Military outposts and civilians on the peninsula teeter on the brink of a colossal supply crisis. Amid the creeping frost. This is a devastating hammer blow to Russia's desperate hold on the occupied land. When vital arteries clog, the body of control decays. Organs rot from neglect. Crimea seems poised for that inevitable putrefaction. Its very lifeblood clot. Flashback, 3 summers ago. Bright sunlight danced on Crimea's beaches. Children laughed. The salty tang of sea spray mixed with barbecue smoke. Warm sand trickled between toes. Then, the first siren wails pierced the calm. Bombs rattled windows. Now, that sandy comfort feels like a distant, mocking dream. In the oligarch's world, these ports and refineries were golden mints, printing billions from oil and gas empires. Temryuk's arson now seals export fates. Contracts worth billions vanish, cancelled in smoke. Putin's inner circle watches their riches crumble under Ukrainian strikes. How faithful can a tycoon stay to a ruler who fails to guard his gold? These bombings might amplify elite murmurs of a Putin-free dawn. Loud debates in darkened corners. Not just the crew spotting the leaks, but captains plotting escapes. Could the excuses end here? In Saratov, another blast marred Christmas Eve. Alarms shrieked through the city. A pivotal thread in Russia's supply web snapped. Ukrainians saturated air defenses with drone hordes. Buzzing swarms overwhelmed sensors. Main attackers plunged into cracking towers, where crude oil morphs into gasoline. Local footage unveiled dark plumes billowing. Not from stacks, but wreckage. Production halted cold. The Volga's Saratov plant, key conduit for inland fuel flows. Its assault starves tanks and civilians alike. Christmas dawned with mile-long gas pump lines in Rostov. Panic gripped hearts. The acrid reek of exhaust fumes choked the air. Engines idled endlessly. Throats dry from waiting. Fingers numb on steering wheels. What fury boils in a populace, watching Putin propel them toward famine. Without fuel, food convoys grind to a halt. Homes grow colder. Jobs evaporate. Is this the spark that ignites a revolution? Or just the beginning of Russia's unraveling? As flames lick at power's throne, who will emerge from the ashes? And what hidden alliances form amid the smoke? Crisis deepens. Loyalties fracture. A nation's fate hangs in uncertainty. Will the next dawn bring retribution? Or total fracture? The storm shows no mercy. What's your worst fear for Putin's crumbling legacy? The situation in Russia is spiraling into chaos, and the truth becomes painfully clear. Putin's relentless war effort has left the country vulnerable to a devastating series of attacks that threaten to dismantle its very backbone. Imagine the cold winter air, filled with the acrid smell of smoke and the distant roar of explosions. People rushing to gas stations, their breaths visible in the icy air, desperate and anxious. The streets, once bustling, now eerily silent, broken only by the hum of engines and the beep of fuel pumps running dry. Are we witnessing the beginning of the end for Putin's control? After the destruction of the Saratov refinery, a critical supply hub on the Volga, the ripple effects are felt across the nation. The refinery's destruction wasn't just a blow to oil production, it was a blow to the Russian people's very survival. On Christmas morning, queues of vehicles stretched as far as the eye could see at gas stations across the Rostov region, drivers gripping steering wheels with white knuckles. The air smelled of burnt fuel and despair. The flames still flickered in the minds of innocent civilians, knowing that without fuel, their lives will freeze. Food deliveries? Cut off. Shelves? Nearly empty. Inflation may double overnight, forcing families in the middle class to choose between heating and feeding their children. The war that was fought in distant Ukraine now manifests in everyday life, no longer a distant conflict but a tangible nightmare at every gas station. But how did things come to this breaking point? Why did Putin fail to prevent this cascade of destruction during the holiday season? The answer lies in the glaring gaps in Russia's defense systems. No leader wants to alienate his own nation and business elite. Yet, these targeted strikes exposed unprotected crucial facilities. Novoshakhtinsk refinery was hit with precision, while long-range drones struck facilities deep in the interior. Each attack exploited a different vulnerability, each revealing the cracks in Russia's once formidable defense shield. The large oil complexes, left unprotected in the rear, became open targets. Ukrainian intelligence had identified these weaknesses, and on Christmas night, they launched a calculated attack that crippled Russia's energy infrastructure. This wasn't just chaos, it was a strategically executed punch that exposes the fragility behind Putin's authoritarian mask. What is truly terrifying is that this attack isn't an isolated event. The damage to these vital facilities signals the start of a relentless chain reaction. The destruction of the Saratov refinery, the Orenburg gas plant, and the Temryuk port is only the beginning. This cascade threatens to bring Russia to its knees, stripping away its capacity to sustain itself, and forcing its people and its ruling elite to face an uncomfortable truth. Putin's once seemingly invincible war machine is crumbling. It's a clash of resilience versus vulnerability, and the outcome remains uncertain. Will Russia's internal chaos push the nation into unprecedented upheaval, or can the Kremlin's fabric still withstand the mounting pressure? The answer awaits in the chilling silence of what's to come. On Christmas night, Russia's energy backbone was struck with devastating precision, plunging the nation into chaos. The attack was not just a setback but a strategic blow whose echoes shake the entire country. As flames engulfed key refineries, a dark domino effect began to ripple across Russia's military and economic fabric. It was an event that would change everything. Every targeted facility, Novoshakhtinsk, Orenburg, and Temryuk, was a vital part of Russia's supply chain. Their destruction wasn't just a matter of fires and smoke. It triggered a systematic collapse. The shutdown of these strategic hubs could halt the entire machinery of the Russian war effort. But the damage goes deeper, reaching into the very psyche of Moscow itself. In the heart of the capital, a police vehicle exploded without warning, killing 2 officers in a brutal attack. Official reports confirm the blast. The officials say it was a terrorist act. But beneath the surface, this event reveals something far more alarming: Russia's security system is crumbling from within. How long can a fortress stand when even those sworn to protect it are vulnerable? The blow to Moscow's police shows that chaos is creeping into the very core of power. This is not just a tactical attack, it's a message. A warning that the regime's control is slipping away. Security agencies are terrified. The once untouchable Kremlin is now rattled by the realization that it can be targeted anywhere, even in its own backyard. The fear spreads through the corridors of power, echoing among generals, officials, and oligarchs alike.
What does this mean for Russia's ruling class? Their wealth, built on illusions of invincibility, now faces an uncertain future. Decades of stability are unraveling before their eyes. The protective shield of Putin's regime, once so robust, now seems fragile and thin. An atmosphere of insecurity grips the city streets and political halls alike. This chaos isn't only about infrastructure, it's a crisis of confidence. Every explosion, every attack is a crack in the facade of the Russian state. As the country's foundations tremble, the elite begin to question whether their loyalty can still be bought or if their fortunes are truly protected. The question now stares them all in the face: who remains safe in this new world, and who will be the first to abandon the sinking ship? The shocking explosions in Moscow have shattered Putin's facade of power. Could he be the architect of his own downfall, as his elite allies start plotting escapes? Now, picture the opulent towers of Rublevka shrouded in dread. Air raid sirens pierce the night air like wailing ghosts, while the acrid stench of burning fuel chokes the elite's manicured gardens. The sky blazes red, a fiery tapestry of flames licking at their gilded gates. Feel the ground tremble underfoot, a seismic jolt that rattles crystal chandeliers and awakens the wealthy from their dreams of immunity. Constant airport closures, triggered by relentless drone assaults, ensure no private jets whisk them away. Flights evaporate like mirages, pathways to safety constricting into nooses. What terror haunts these billionaires most? A chaos that gold can't bribe into submission? Yes, that's unfolding right now, as fractures widen in Putin's regime amid this pervasive fog of fear. Generals huddle in shadows, weighing betrayals, while businessmen calculate desertions. Loyalty erodes, replaced by primal survival instincts. Imagine the twist, as festive hymns mingle with war's howl in Kiev, Russian sirens blare symphonies of ruin. No spin doctors can mask it. Even propaganda icons fail against the harsh truth: a resident of Orenburg gazing at refinery plumes from their window, or soldiers grieving 100,000 lost comrades. Unleashed energy destruction obliterates any victory illusion. Clandestine videos seep through censorship, capturing raw fury and bewilderment. Citizens roar, why can't the state shield them? Why bleed for fruitless battles? In essence, as 2025 fades, clarity dawns stark. Russia, aggressor turned prey, now suffers territorial voids, a hollowed army, severed lifelines pulsing with stolen oil. Putin's unyielding grip hauls the nation into inferno, boxed in by its fiery folly. Imminent days may witness citizens and magnates abandoning him, perhaps embracing Western winds. By then, for the Kremlin puppeteer, redemption could slip into oblivion. What fate lies in wait for Putin? Humiliation or historical disgrace? The irony bites deep, his power crumbling in the glow of self-kindled pyres. How will the oligarch's exodus reshape Russia's destiny? Stay tuned for the seismic shifts ahead.